Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where people think they can do whatever they want and get whatever they want because they're better than you. My friends, as always, the stories are going to be super outrageously entitled, so don't shake your heads too much. We're going to dive in, so subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you enjoy the stories. I was raised by parents who believed religiously and just culturally in rigid gender roles. They believed that dad should work and mom should stay home with the kids. I'm the only girl, and I have 3 brothers. Now, because of their expectation that I'd stay home with kids, they never valued my education, my educational achievements, or emphasized things beyond domestic skills. I'm the second youngest. By the time I was in high school, my 2 older brothers had gone to the college of their choice, with my parents fully covering tuition, books, an off-campus apartment, and other living expenses. They eventually did the same for my younger brother. I was told that I wasn't allowed to apply for college. I did so in secret and got accepted with a partial scholarship. Now, I didn't tell them I was moving out until a week before I left. I left with essentially nothing. I took engineering. I had to work, take on debt, and struggle. My parents and I have barely spoken for years. I'm married now and I'm expecting our first child, and they asked to meet up. We met up at a park, and they said they were sorry that they caused me pain, but they would like a relationship now because I owed it to them. I asked them specifically what they were sorry for, and they wouldn't elaborate, and they said they just wanted to move forward, and I said that wasn't sufficient. In the end, I said they could prove they were sorry by forwarding me $100,000 that my degree and college expenses were, just like they did for my brothers. At this, my mom burst into tears saying that I was being over the top, and my dad said that I wasn't being serious, and I just left. Since then, I've been getting calls from my brothers telling me that I'm being immature and hurtful. I don't think so at all. Honestly, this is where OP needs to go see you later and go no contact forever. I feel like the parents only wanted to mend the relationship because they heard about OP's pregnancy and thought, oh, she's finally come to her senses and decided to become a wife and mother and give up her silly modern notion of education. Like, yeah, it's easy for the brothers to say that OP's being immature when the parents have basically handed them their education and treated them fairly their whole lives. And you know what? Nobody's entitled to a forgive and forget situation, and good on OP for doing it all on her own. The victory's so much sweeter when you achieve it with no handouts. Now, if you think these parents are a little bit bonkers, listen to this. So my parents currently owe over $1 million in IRS debts. It's possible to serve prison time if they continue to ignore it while interest and fines accumulate. They also have $1 million in assets. So one day, they come to my sibling and I, who are both in our late 20s, and asked if we could help them out. My sibling and I discussed our options on what we could do to help them out, without severely putting the next X amount of years of our well-being in jeopardy by personally taking on heaps of debt. We came to them and told them that we would purchase a downsized but very nice home for them to live in rent-free, but the title would stay in our name. We told them that since they'd be living rent-free, they can focus on paying off the debt that they owe. Now, my parents currently live in a 7,000 square foot home with 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms for 2 people. My parents come back with a counter offer. So they come back and say, it's either you pay off the $1 million or that's a no-go. My parents then told both of us that it's not fair that they would have to sell their home for this, and they don't need us to be involved in their finances. They were also kind enough to let us know that if we pay it off now, we can inherit it back one day. What an investment. So we tell them no, and long story short, anger ensued. And we were treated to a lecture about our moral failings as their children. Haven't spoken to them since. Okay, so that is some crazily entitled parents. To expect their own kids to pay off $1 million in debt for them. First off, mom and dad, you did this to yourself, so you need to pony up and get yourself out of it. Not see your kids as complete failures when they don't give you what you want. Now, if you guys are wondering how the heck this happened, OP comes into the comments and says this. So my mother was working in a gray market. She was convicted of filing a false tax return over 5 years. This was about 10 years ago, and they've made minimum payments and ignored it since. So what started out as a couple of $100,000 in penalties, back taxes, and interest has blossomed into over $1 million in interest and fines over the span. So yeah, I think the parents might be walking on really thin ice at the moment. I'm pretty sure at this point you either sell the house to pay the debts, or you might be looking at some jail time, but I don't know. So this story took place on my birthday. I've been working in a new job for a year now, and I've gotten along pretty well with my team. Because of this, I thought it would be nice if I bought some snacks for my team. So I went to the local bakery and I shelled out quite a lot of money for some pastries, biscuits, pizza bites, and just stuff that everybody can snack on. I get vegan, vegetarian, halal, kosher, and gluten-free options. Now, I like celebrating with other people, but this is by no means a duty on me to do. I do it because I like to share. So I place some snacks on the main desk at the front of our office where everybody can help themselves. As our office is huge, I write that I've brought in some goodies, and that people in my team should help themselves. So enter Karen number 1. She's someone from our senior team, so although she's a part of our team, she pretty much refuses to talk to anybody in a pay grade lower than her. And a majority of us understand that she's not our team. So Karen waltzes over, picks at everything, and she reads the note. Now, she doesn't realize that most of us are looking at her when she's picking through things. Out of nowhere, Karen says, "Hey, so, who's Greg?" Not my real name. My colleague points to me and states that it's my birthday, so I've brought some treats in. Now at this, she takes one look at me and she demands why there are no donuts. I explained that the donuts from the local shop don't look too good, so I thought it'd be best to not buy them. So Karen then says that as it's my birthday and I've decided to buy stuff, that it's my responsibility to cater to everybody, and I should have bought stuff that she wanted. I try to awkwardly explain that I really didn't have to buy anything at all, and that I mostly bought it for my base team. She then gives me a dirty look and says, next time, don't bother at all, if I'm still working here. So that kind of pissed me off, but I do know the senior team are like that, so I try to not let it get to me. Then the second Karen walks in. The woman's not even part of our team, she just works on the same floor as us. She does the pleasantries, says happy birthday, and then asks if she can have a pizza bite. I say of course, and that she's welcome to take some things back for her team if she wants. She then takes a whole platter, which has about 10 bites. She then eats one of them and looks at me funny, and I ask if she has any allergies. She then replies with, "No, they're cold." Now, I was so shocked at her attitude that I could have died right there and then. I tell her that they've been sitting out for a while and that she can use the microwave to warm the bites up. Now at that, she then asked why she has to warm stuff up, as since it's being presented to the office staff, it should be warm when she takes them. Then I lose it. I tell her it's my birthday and that I don't care if she chokes on the pizza bite. She then tells me that I have a really toxic attitude and that I shouldn't share if I couldn't take it. So yeah, I didn't think I'd expect that on my birthday, but here we are. That sucks so much that OP has some super toxic coworkers. So the first Karen totally deserved a, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think you'd need any more donuts in your life, sweetie, that's why I didn't pick any up." And second Karen, "First of all, I didn't bring them for you. And are you stupid? Those pizza bites are supposed to be served and eaten cold." I'm kidding guys, that's really mean, but that's the type of response they deserve for being that rude. Some people just don't appreciate anything. So recently, we moved from Missouri to Ohio for my husband's job. We moved during the summer and we have children at 3 different schools, but all 3 schools use the intersection kitty corner from our house. My younger 2 go to primary school here, which is kindergarten through 2nd grade. Since the kids are so young, many parents walk their kids down, but some have recently started driving 2 blocks from their house to the bus stop. Well, there's this one mom in this green Jeep that's made it a habit to park on our grass in the afternoon to wait for her kid. Now, I didn't really make a big deal out of it the first few times, but after a week straight of rain, her Jeep made huge muddy tire tracks in our grass. Now, I'm talking 4-inch deep, huge marks where the Jeep was clearly stuck. She had to back up to get out after 5 minutes of letting the tire spin. So the following day, I walk up to her Jeep and knocked on her window. I kindly asked her to not park on the grass anymore, especially when the ground was so wet, and pointed to the large tire marks. At this, Karen gave me a really snotty look and she rolled her windows up. Now, I don't like confrontation, so I was sort of relieved when the following day she parked somewhere else. So Monday afternoon rolls around and I look out my window and she's pulling up. I see her look to my front porch where I normally sit to wait for my kids. When she didn't see me sitting there, she peels into my grass, into the same tire marks as before, and she digs them in another 2 to 3 inches with mud flying everywhere. I was beyond livid, but I knew this wasn't gonna go anywhere if I tried to talk to her again. So I made a beautiful professional looking sign and I hung it up. The sign says, "Please do not park on the grass, smile, you're on camera. Now, we don't have a camera that points that way, but we do have a Ring doorbell that also doesn't even point that way, but she doesn't know that. She stopped parking there for 2 whole weeks until the rain and snow destroyed my makeshift sign. Today was the first day that she decided to park there again, and I'm so happy she did. So right after she got the kid in the car and she went to take off, a police cruiser pulls up. And no, I didn't call them. It was all completely coincidental. Yeah, so OP should have totally called the cops the second time she saw the Karen park on her grass. The Karen's clearly doing it on purpose and destroying private property. Like, what ridiculous entitlement, guys. Oh, okay, so there's a sign up, so I shouldn't park there. Oh, what? The sign's gone? I can park there again? Like, what is she thinking? I'm so glad the officer pulled up when they did, though. On this day, I went to GameStop on Saturday to chat with a friend and browse the merchandise. I also wanted to get an Xbox and PlayStation along with some games. Roughly spend more money there than I've ever before. I was there for about an hour or two having conversations with 3 people, 1 employee, my friend, and the manager. After a while, I was talking with the employee about the specifications between the consoles, and the manager stepped out for lunch. A short time later, a woman walks in and she rushes to the Nintendo section. While I was sifting through the games, the employee went to ask them if they needed help finding anything. She asked them questions, but I tuned them out while me and my friend talked about certain games. About 20 minutes later, I knew what I was getting. The employee was getting everything together. I picked up a PlayStation and Xbox with a few games for each. My friend was talking about a game he wanted, and I said I'd get it for him as an early birthday present. He thanked me for it, and that was it. Almost. So Karen had heard what was going on, and she comes right on over and asked if I would help her and her kids and buy them a game. I told her no thank you. Now at this, she was looking at me like I was crazy, and I thought she jokingly said, "You're buying him what he wants, why won't you buy my kid something?" She then looked at everything on the counter and she said, "How old are you? You're way too old to be playing all these games. You don't need them. You should give them to my kids." I said my age is irrelevant. People of any age can play video games, and I'm not gonna buy her kids anything. She then tells her kids to beg for the video games, and I quickly turn to her and say that she's not a responsible adult and parent by teaching her kids to beg for stuff. She continues to tell her kids as I'm talking to my friend. Suddenly, I'm grabbed by 2 kids pulling on me and jumping. They're begging me to get them something. At this, I gently take their arms off me and I keep them away. The kids begin crying and the mother says, "Did you just touch my kids, you perv? I'm calling the police." Now, a minute before she calls the police, the manager comes back and sees me grabbing the kids and pushing them away, and he tells me to let go of the kids. I tell him the whole story, but he wasn't believing it. He only saw a fragment of the confrontation. The manager then talks to the woman and she completely lies about what happened. She said that I tried to bribe her to touch her kids while nobody was looking, and even attempted to bribe her with the games I was buying. Now, I was laughing at the whole conversation that was being said, and I said, "Surely you can't believe this." But he was already on the phone with the cops. Now, I was screwed, because I've seen issues like this where people automatically go with the woman's story. We waited around for the cops to arrive, and when they do, I try to talk to one of them, but she butts in to give her story first. She tells the cops the same story, and the manager also tells the same story. The cops then look at me, and one of them takes out their handcuffs without hearing my side. Now, I'm totally freaking out that I've become the bad guy based on a lie. I finally get to tell them my side of the story, and even my friend backs me up. I say they have security cameras in every corner of the store, so just look at the footage and see for yourself. Now, upon hearing this, the look on her face was life-shattering. She tried to backtrack and say that she wasn't going to press charges, but they wanted to keep her here. So the manager and one of the officers go look at the video and soon come out and they apologized. They asked her why she attempted to lie to them, and she replied with, "He's too old to be playing those games. He should just give them to me and my kids." Now, I was just flabbergasted over the whole situation. The manager tried to apologize for how he reacted to the situation, and I just told him that I'll be making a complaint on how you presented yourself. A few days later, I found out that the manager was fired. Now, I may have caused an issue with the retail manager, but he should have handled that situation more professionally. He should have checked the surveillance video in the beginning instead of calling the police. I mainly feel bad for the kids involved in this, as they're being raised by a crazy woman who thinks that begging and lying is the only way to get what you want in life. Yeah, that manager did not handle that situation well at all. Instead of picking and choosing sides over what he said, she said, they should have totally reviewed that footage. When my son was almost 1, I was talking to my former friend about the compact stroller I was planning to buy. I didn't drive, and I lived in the city and wanted something that was lightweight and folded up easily for public transportation. My friend was doing well financially at the time, and she offered to buy it for my son's birthday. It was around $120. At this, I was very grateful because that was a pretty big gift. She, however, never let it go. She brought it up whenever she could. She used it as an excuse to not get him a Christmas or birthday present for several years. She'd always say, well, I bought him that stroller for his birthday, so that's his Christmas present. Now, I don't really care about her not giving him a present, but her always bringing it up got annoying. And then she got pregnant. My son was 4 at the time, and he wasn't using the stroller regularly, but we would bring it along sometimes if we were out all day. My husband and I have been struggling with secondary infertility and had been trying for another child for 3 years. I was seeing a fertility doctor and doing treatments. So while I was happy for my friend, her getting pregnant was a little bit difficult for me emotionally. Anyway, one day she calls me out of the blue and says, yeah, I need you to give me back my stroller. I tell her, it was a gift. You gave it to us 3 years ago. Yeah, but I'm gonna need it now. I asked her, why don't you just put one in your baby registry if you want one? She then says to me that she shouldn't have to, as she already bought one. That I don't need it anymore, and for me to give it back to her. At this I say to her, well, my son doesn't use it much, but you know we're trying for another baby, so I'll need it then. She then says to me, well, that might not work out. What? Your fertility treatments, they might not work, so you won't need the stroller. I then tell her I'm not giving you my stroller. She says, okay, well, you have to buy me the exact same one for my kid's first birthday then. I tell her I can't afford to do that. My standard gift for 1-year-olds is chunky wooden puzzles. That's way out of my price range. Now, I can't remember what else was said, but she was angry with me for a good while. We're no longer friends because of so many things, but I do have a lovely new baby who's gonna be using that stroller for adventures when they get bigger. Guys, did she really ask for that gift back? I'd say good riddance. OP doesn't need a friend like that in her life. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, we survived another one. If you enjoyed the stories today, do remember to hit that like button. And if you missed yesterday's episode on the channel, a petty Karen steals from OP to teach him a lesson, and it backfires hard. If you guys missed that one, go give it a listen. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.